Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Aggieville Alleycats podcast, where come rain, shine, or anything in between, we're here to deliver to you the Kansas State sporting news that you so love. I'm Ace Edwards, right alongside
Connor Baltazar.
and today we're just going to be doing the weekly recap segment, going over men and women's Casketball. So let's not delay it, let's just get straight into men's Casketball. The first game that we'll be going over is the Kansas State victory over the Iowa State Cyclones in Ames. It was a 75-69 victory, and this was actually a game where we seem to be bucking the trend of just dying in the second half. We choose the first half to die.
We chose the very beginning of the first half, which honestly, if you're going to pick a half to be awful in,
Yeah, I guess I picked that.
it's probably better to pick the first half, especially given this team's propensity to blow second half leads in the past. So, yeah, given the choice, I would take the first half. Granted, I'd rather not fall in a 13-0 hole much more, but all things considered, it ended up well because the Cats come out on top 75-69, and that'd be a really low scoring game.
Yeah.
But Nigel Pack had an excellent day. He had 19 points on 7 of 10 shooting, 4-5 from 3-point range, 1 of 2 at the free throw line. He had 6 rebounds, 2 fouls, 3 assists, 1 turnover, 2 blocks, and a steal. That was really weird for him to get 2 blocks.
Yeah.
He's maybe 6 foot, maybe. It's pushing it. He's listed at 6 foot.
Pushing Pack.
He's listed at 6 foot.
Yeah.
He's probably like 5'11".
It's not the most impressive block we'll talk about from him in this episode.
Right.
That was such a weird... Never mind.
Yeah.
We'll get into that when it happens.
Marquis Noel added a nice 16 points, 6 of 13 from the field. He finally found his 3-point stroke. He's really been struggling. I think I saw before the last 2 games, which is Iowa State and West Virginia, he was 7 of 33 from 3-point range. And these last few games, he's like 7 of 10 or something like that. Really good.
Yeah.
But 3 of 6 from 3-point range, made his 1 free throw. He had 4 rebounds, 2 fouls, 6 assists, just 2 turnovers, and 3 steals. Really nice game from Marquis Noel. That's exactly what you need from your ball handler. And he put in 44 minutes, so he only sat for 1 minute of this entire game. And the same thing can be said for Mark Smith, who put in 15 points with 9 rebounds. He was not an efficient shooter. He was 4-12 from the field, 1 of 4 from 3. And then he made 6 out of his 8 free throws. He had 9 rebounds, so just 1 away from another double-double. And then he had 3 fouls, 2 assists, and a turnover. So you have Nigel Marquis and then Mark leading the way with scoring.
The big 3. It's been that way the entire season.
Yeah, I mean, it's generally Nigel and then 1 or 2 of those guys. However, we did still get 9 points from Mike McGurl. He put in 25 minutes. He started this game. He went 3-7 from the field, 1 of 3 from 3, 2 of 3 at the free throw line. He had 3 rebounds, 2 fouls, 3 assists, 1 turnover, and 2 steals. So, I mean, that's a Mike stat line that you need. He gets a few rebounds, got a few assists, took care of the ball, and he got a few steals as well. And he had a really big and 1 layup late in the game. Or was that in overtime? It was either late in the second half or overtime.
It was OT.
Yeah, he had a just absolutely excellent steal that turned into a really tough and 1 layup at the other end. And he was just phenomenal. At least there down the stretch. The last starter was Davion Bradford. He played 15 minutes, didn't record any points, went 0-2 from the field. He had 2 rebounds, both of them were offensive. And then he had 1 foul, no assist, 3 turnovers, and a block. So another really tough stat line from Davion, unfortunately. I'm not going to linger on it. Everyone knows at this point.
Yeah, we did it last week.
Yeah. Ish Masood, though, he came up clutch in this game. He seemed to have a fire lit under him in this game, where he really finally was. It seemed like he had a little bit more energy in his performance than he has recently, because I think a lot of the dismay with Ish recently has been he really settles into just shooting threes and nothing else. And which he still took 6 threes and only made 1 of them this game, but he did end up perfect on his 2-point attempts, 4-4, so that puts him at a 5 for 10 on the day. He gets him 11 points, 3 rebounds, 3 fouls, no assists, 1 turnover, a block, and a steal.
Plus he had that big dunk.
Exactly. Yeah, the sick dunk.
The dunk that looked photoshopped from a certain angle.
Yeah, he had that, and he also had that putback dunk as well.
Oh yeah,
earlier in the game. Yeah, so we had 2 huge plays, and he also had a few nice mid-range shots as well. He has a really nice mid-range stroke. So I think when we're trying to break the zone, he's like the perfect guy to like get the ball to at the elbow, and he takes that shot. But he, all in all, it was a really nice performance. It was his first time in double figures since, I believe, West Virginia on the road at the beginning of January. So it's been over a month since Ish Massoud hit double figures. We've been waiting for him to do something like this for a while. We've really been needing somebody else to come in and score double figures that doesn't have a variation of the name Mark or is Nigel. And and Ishmael finally came in and had a nice day off the bench. Sultan Miguel, he came back from injury this game. He played 22 minutes, although he did look kind of limited. He had 5 points on 1 of 6 from the field, took a 3-point shot and missed it. And he went 3 or 4 at the free throw line. He had 5 rebounds, 1 foul, 3 assists, no turnovers, a block, and a steal. Now, you'd like to see him be more efficient from the field, definitely. But 3-4 at the free throw line, not bad. And he gets you 5 rebounds, 3 assists, no turnovers, a block, and a steal. I mean, stuff's the stat sheet there. And you can't be too upset with some of the stuff down the line. It's just that stuff higher in the line. They'd like to. I mean, you'd really want to eliminate him taking 3-point shots at this point.
Because it's not happening.
I don't think he's made one since December in a game, and it's just not working for him, unfortunately. Yeah. And driving to the bucket, it's hard to tell him not to take those shots because he's taking high percentage looks, and they just are not falling, unfortunately. He does get the occasional one. It really is.
It really could have happened to anybody. It actually could have happened to anybody.
Yeah, like, and you know what? It is happening.
Yeah, it is.
But
it is happening to anybody.
But yeah, Sultan, he also played really good defensively, although he was a little limited just because he's still recovering from that ankle injury. But a quality 22 minutes from him. Carlton Lingard played 9 minutes and had 1 rebound, and that's it. Did not attempt a shot. No turnover.
Did what he needed to do. He was on the court.
Yeah, I will say, I'll give him this. This is not ironic. He, on his rebound attempt, he did go up and actually legitimately won a rebound just by being taller and jumping higher than somebody, which for our bigs is a rare sight. So I do want to give credit where credit is due. Carlton.
Golf clap.
I'm giving him snaps. Good for you, Carlton. We like seeing that. We love a guy that wins rebounds. But other than that, he did not contribute anything. He was not the offensive focal point. It was probably Nigel and Marquis being really good from 3. So
yeah, I mean,
as it should be.
It's fair.
Yeah. The only other player to register any time was Luka Suki. He played 5 minutes and missed 2 3-point shots. It's a Luka Suki stat line.
Yeah.
I have very little to say about that. He's either going to make them or he's going to miss them, and that basically determines if he has a good or bad game. So that's basically it. But the Cats as a whole, they shot 42% from the field, 37% from 3, and 72% at the free throw line. And that includes 41% in the second half from the field, slight increase. Although they did shoot a lot worse from 3. But in overtime, they were 57%, made 4-7 of their shots. So pretty good there. Yep. Then they also limited their turnovers to 9 while having 17 assists. So a team assist to turnover ratio of almost 2-1 is really good. Yeah. So love to see that. But what do we think about this game?
The one thing that I want to mention before we go into the general thoughts is the collective meltdown that Twitter had at the end of the second half with Marquis.
I forgot to mention that.
Yeah.
But wow, that was.
I understand why it was a meltdown, and it wouldn't be funny if we lost, but the fact that we won after doing that, it's kind of objectively hilarious.
Yeah, like that. I mean, we have this incredible comeback and everything, and like the offense is clicking, like looks serviceable, and we really like did everything we needed to get to that position, and then we get there, and Marquis like dribbles the ball up the floor. We have I think 20 seconds. We have 20 seconds with the ball. We have all the momentum in the world and the game is tied, so we can take any shot. That's an excellent position to be in.
Yeah.
And he Weber comes over and he's going to call a play or call a timeout. Marquis calls him off and Weber's okay, and he puts trust in his player. And I will say for about 15 seconds I liked that decision. And I will say I was happy to see Bruce put a little trust in his players. I liked that. Of course, the results do hurt the perception of that a little. I will say I still think that regardless, Bruce is getting flamed for whatever he does there. If he calls a timeout, he's ruining the momentum. If he doesn't, then it's why is he not planning? There's a lot of things you can blame Bruce for this year. That situation is kind of a no-win, unfortunately, for him. So I'm not going to say here and back on Bruce for that, because I really just think that's a results-based situation. If he calls timeout and we hit a 3, he's like a coaching genius. If he calls timeout when the play falls apart, then like he's the worst coach of all time. And then there he doesn't call a play, and horrible, bad, but he doesn't call a play. Marquis doesn't do what he did, and all of a sudden, he's like an incredible coach that like trusts his players.
Yeah, it's gotten to the point where even if he did call something beautiful, people that were just destroying. Like, the more and more I think about it, the more and more I think about that Bruce is like a better Corey Messingham in terms of like fan perception, and just no matter what he does, he's wrong, and he's not immune to criticism and should be criticized. But there are times where it's, guys, come on.
Yeah, it's definitely over the top at times, and we've definitely criticized Bruce Weber on this podcast this year. Like,
multiple times.
We've declared the team dead at least 3 times, and they have also risen from the dead at least 3 times. So it just keeps happening. It's cyclical.
Now we're a bubble team. Yeah. We'll go into that after the West Virginia game.
Yeah, but like Bruce, he definitely needs to be criticized. That moment is probably not one that I would pick if I were
all the things you could pick.
Yeah, if I were a certified like rabid Bruce hater, which I am, I would say I'm a moderate Bruce disliker.
The average message board user.
Yeah, like there's so many things that you could hate on Bruce for. That's probably not the moment that I would pick personally, because I think that moment is almost entirely on Marquis Noel for doing absolutely nothing for about 18 seconds and then stepping into a 3 with like a player that has 7 inches on him, like right in his face. He gets blocked at like half court almost, like on the logo, and then nothing happens and we go to overtime. So the results of that, like, it's embarrassing, it's an awful play, but like the results of that really aren't that bad, because that was worst case scenario other than like a turnover early in the clock and Iowa State goes down and scores. But that didn't happen. So like in the situations that result in us going to overtime, that was probably the worst case and we still didn't lose.
Yeah.
So, but regardless, that was a really, really rough choice by Marquis when he was in the middle of a very good game, I would say, with a few issues like that. But then he had a key 3 in overtime and totally made up for it. So, you know what? This happened a while ago. I'm not going to be upset with him for like one bad choice, because that's just what you get with Marquis, because Marquis giveth and Marquis taketh away.
Marquis, yeah.
Yeah, and like earlier in that game, he had that incredible reverse layup on the fast break for an and 1.
Oh, yeah.
Where he like just like went under and like spun the ball really well. I mean, like it was the Marquis Noel special that we're so used to seeing. And I mean, like, at this point, I was, like, watching with, like, one of my roommates. He had, like, come out because he didn't realize that we were playing. And we were sitting there. I think at the point that he came out, we were, like, down by 10. And we, like, just watched us, like, crawl back in. And the entire time, I was, like, in complete denial. I was like, okay, when are we going to mess up?
When are we messing it up?
And then we didn't. And we never did. And I was unfathomably happy. I had an assignment for a class that I finished just a little bit after the game started, and it was about like optimism and stuff, and I literally talked about in the assignment that I wrote, I talked about how I felt like I inherently was not as optimistic of a person because I'm a K-State sports fan. And I like just talked about how much heartbreak I've had from like us just like blowing late leads like constantly. It feels like
legit. That's actually a reason.
Yeah,
that's a legit reason.
I did a little bit of introspection for that, and then of course we go out and I get completely like anecdotally disproven by the results of that day, and
your rhetoric has fallen apart.
It did. It really did, honestly. And you know what? I'm okay with that. like. And I don't know, it was just an awesome game to watch. It was great to watch us come back and then not panic, with the exception of the Marquis 3, but I don't even know if I was panicking. I think that was just a little stupid.
That was being too chill.
That's probably what the issue was. He was too chill. But we also need to give a special shout out to somebody on Iowa State for helping us win this game. That's Caleb Grill. He played 32 minutes in this game, had 2 points, Caleb Gurley 1 of 12 from the field, 0 of 9 from 3, and most of those threes were wide open in the corner. Those were like Luke Kasubski specials, and he missed like, this is like 5 bad Luke Kasubski games wrapped up into one performance. Because this is truly like, because Luke either has a bad or good game based on if he makes 1 or 2 threes or he makes 0. Mm-hmm. This is basically if you took all of Luke's bad games from like non-conference or something and just were like, do it all at once.
Yeah, here we go.
Now, he had a lot of rebounds, but then also you look at his like fouls. One of those fouls is the Mike McGurland one. So like that was clutch down the stretch.
Tough day at the office.
Caleb Grill really struggled.
Tough day at the office.
Really, yeah. And then I will give credit where credit is due for Iowa State. Isaiah Brockington had a sensational game. We could not stop him. He had 27 points. And then Jazz Koontz, he had 19 points and just was absolutely smoking us early in the game. He had I think it was like 11 points before the first media timeout. Like, he scored their first 11, I think, or like 11 of their first 13, because we were just leaving him wide open on threes. Because this is a guy that I think statistically coming into that game was shooting, I think it was like he took like 60% of his shot attempts from 3 and played maybe like 7 or 8 minutes a game. And then they started him out of absolutely nowhere.
And then
he dropped 19. But you know what? Didn't matter because it was Brockington, Koontz, and literally nobody else for Iowa State. And they really struggled down the stretch. I mean, they shot 20% from 3 in the second half, 20% from 3 in overtime. Like, the game just gets worse and worse as it goes for them. You know, I mean, you shoot 51% from the first half. I mean, this is literally like K-State versus KU stat line, except it's Iowa State instead of us. So, but you know what? It was nice to see multiple people score for K-State as well. Outside of just like 2 guys putting the team on their back. Because, I mean, you have 4 guys in double figures here with Nigel, Marquis, Mark, and then Ish. And then you have Mike, who almost had double figures when he missed the and one opportunity. Because I literally texted, I think it was either you or Nathan, and I was like, we're undefeated when Mike hits double figures. And then he missed his free throw.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh, man.
Yeah, you texted me that.
I felt very bad after that because I was like, I definitely just jinxed this entire game. But we won. So, you know
we
what?
ended up winning.
Didn't matter. Yep. But incredible game. Made me very happy. Made me happy, made me smile. And I'm glad that the Cyclones were sent home sad in basketball Farmageddon.
Yeah, the first one. The second one's coming up soon.
Yep.
But the next game is K-State, West Virginia, which is the game that I almost got kicked out of.
Yeah.
I said some very not nice things to the referee. I'm not apologizing. He deserved it.
I wish I was there for this game because I sounds like I missed a show and also a great game. So
yeah, it actually was a very good game. The student section was surprisingly lively, even though there were, not a lot of people there.
Yeah, this game did make some like minor noise for being one of the worst attended basketball games for K-State in recent memory. Like it says 5,400 there on attendance on the website.
No.
Probably an exaggeration.
That's a gross exaggeration.
Probably 3,500 is more accurate. Maybe 4 based off what I've heard. That's pushing it even.
That's pushing it.
So, I mean, tickets scan. I confirmed there were 2 people there.
Yo!
You and Nathan. I can't go anywhere beyond that.
Yeah.
But
anyway, this was a victory in Bramlage Coliseum for your Kansas State Wildcats, 78-73, and this was another game where we managed to have a second half comeback.
Yeah, this is 2 in a row where there was a pretty major comeback. Iowa State, I forget how big the deficit was at its largest. I think it was 15.
Yeah.
And West Virginia did get into the double digits, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
It was 42-35 at half in favor of West Virginia, but the Cats came out and dropped 43 in the second half, which I'm liking this new and improved K-State offense that gets better in the second half instead of getting worse.
Yeah, it's a revolutionary concept, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Once again, we let the other team's best player go off on us. Ty Sherman had 23, and then you added in Kedrian Johnson, who had 15, and Isaiah Cottrell, who had 13 for Iowa State. Iowa State, West Virginia, excuse me.
Yeah, same team.
Basically. And they also, I was again not at this game. I was able to kind of watching it. I was able to watch it in passing. Like I wasn't able to watch it super well. I was busy on this Valentine's night, and then free throws. A lot of fouls in this game.
Yeah. Including a few techs. I think there was a double technical.
Yeah, there was a double tech. I heard it was kind of silly.
It was kind of a Mickey Mouse double tech.
I mean, like it's based on what I could tell, it's kind of similar to the Baylor situation. We were on the road there, and Selton had the dunk, and then Matthew Mayer also had a dunk, and they both got teed up for pretty bad reasons. I'm trying to think of a better word than bad, but
no, then really that is accurate.
Yeah, but no, West Virginia, they end up shooting 24 free throws in this game, and make 20 of them. Although that does not even compare to K-State. They did commit 23 fouls in this game, which is a lot. And
we committed 21.
Yeah, I think K-State committed 21, and they shot 39 free throws in this game. Granted, part of that is inflated because there were, I think, multiple occasions where a foul shooter for K-State was fouled on a three-point attempt.
Yep.
So that is obscenely rare.
Yeah.
But the Cats, they go 12 of 13 from the free throw line in the first half, 19 of 26 in the second half for a grand total of 79.5%. Cats actually shoot slightly better from three than they do from the field, and in the first half they made more threes than they did field goals. So
yep.
Yeah, they shoot 37.3% from the field, 37.5% from three-point range, and they shoot about the same half to half. Not really any notable difference. Slightly higher from three-point range, but that's just with fewer attempts.
Yeah.
But Marquis Noel is the story of this game. He had 21 points, 7 of 11 from the field, 4 of 6 from three, and 3 of 4 at the free throw line. So excellent offensive game for Marquis. And you couple that, he had 2 rebounds, 3 assists, no turnovers, and then 3 steals as well. He did add 4 fouls. Which granted, everybody had a lot of fouls this game.
Yeah, that was just this crew, which is why I said not nice things to the referee.
Yeah, there were chants that were said, and I know you can tell the story sometime if you want. But yeah, Marquis did not play 44 minutes this time or whatever it was. He played 33. Then right behind him scoring is Mark Smith. He had 17 points, 3 of 7 from the field, 1 of 3 from 3, then 10 of 11 from the free throw line, which is pretty phenomenal. Then he had 10 rebounds, so he gets that double-double that he just missed in the previous game. He had 3 fouls, 2 assists, 3 turnovers. I think I said he had 35 minutes played. I may not have. But Nigel Pack, for his standards, had a pretty poor game. He was definitely inefficient shooting the ball, but he had 13 points, 4 of 15 from the field, 1 of 6 from 3, 4 of 4 from the free throw line. So you'd like to see a better night shooting the ball. But you know what? When you're shooting as much as he is, you're just going to have those nights. Yeah, he had 6 rebounds, 1 foul, 5 assists, there's 1 turnover, a block, and a steal.
The greatest block.
Yeah, talk about this block a little bit more, would you, Ace?
So, Marquis is like 7 inches shorter than the guy who... I don't even remember if he was... I think he was going up for a layup.
Wait, Nigel or Marquis?
Nigel.
Okay.
So this big dude. Nigel is significantly shorter than this guy, and he's just breaking down the court. Nigel just puts up his hands and like... It's just one of those situations where it's like a prayer. Put your hand up. It's just like, I'm not sure if this will do anything, but I'm going to try it. And lo and behold, it actually worked, and he just stuffed the guy like right under the basket. And he just turns around. I think there was like a second and a half where he's like, is that me? Then he's like, all right, cool, let's go, boys. Yeah, that is the biggest disparity I've ever seen in a college basketball game and actually result in the block. That it was very funny to watch. Because the West Virginia player just kind of looked down, looked up, looked back down, and just went, well, that's embarrassing.
Not a lot that you can do about that, unfortunately. But, yeah.
It's a great block. It was amazing.
Good for Nigel. He gets that block on his stat line. And then also, Nigel, he did have that 5-to-1 assist to turnover ratio, which is pretty excellent. He played 37 minutes of this game. So, Not a bad night for Nigel at all. Mike McGurl, he played 33 minutes and started in this game. He had 6 points, went 2 of 6 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3, missed both his free throws. He's really been struggling at the line recently. Mm-hmm. And then he had 2 rebounds with 3 fouls, 1 assist, 1 turnover, and a steal. Again, solid enough Mike stat line. He didn't shoot a ton, but he was 50% from 3. Like to see better free throw percentage. Got a few rebounds, didn't turn over the ball very much. Can't complain, honestly. You really can't.
What you want.
Yep. Then Davion Bradford, he only played 10 minutes, but he did start in this game. He had 3 fouls, a turnover, and he had 4 points. Was perfect at the foul line, 4-4. He briefly led the team in scoring for like the first 4 minutes.
Yep, I always... I took delight in trolling people in the section by saying, Davion's our leading scorer right now. I don't think people appreciated that one very much. We also had a West Virginia guy sitting in the student section.
Yeah, I saw that on the broadcast. They were giving him the spotlight briefly.
We were like 3 rows behind him, so you may have saw like our feet or something.
I may have. I don't know. I was at a restaurant, so I was looking from quite a long distance.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, he was getting heckled the entire game.
As he should.
He was probably honestly, he probably lost a fantasy football bet. That's kind of what I think happened.
Yeah, either that or he might be stupid.
Okay, that's also a possibility.
But Davion, from what I could tell, there were a few moments that, you'd like to see him make a shot. He did have a few Davion moments, but, based on the stat line, he only played 10 minutes. He had 4 points,
He did what he had to.
Yeah, there was one of those fouls that he had where I kind of didn't agree with the call, really. Like, this isn't like an exceptionally awful Davion performance that I think that you can just complain about. There's like performances that he's had this year that you can absolutely just...
Baylor.
Yeah, Baylor. There's plenty of performances this year that you can just think about, and he was terrible. But you know what? This isn't like a particularly horrid performance given the bar that's been set up this year, so it's whatever. But Ish Masood, he comes off the bench, plays 23 minutes. Doesn't have the most efficient night shooting the ball, but he gets to the line an absurd amount in this game. He goes 2 of 8 from the field, 1 of 4 from 3, so 25% on both those marks. But he goes 8 of 10 at the free throw line, which unfortunately ruins his perfect free throw streak because he was 100% on the season entering that game.
I mentioned it to someone, the free throw before he missed.
I'm so sorry.
It's on me, guys. It's my bad.
You're going to send an apology letter to Ish for that, but
I'm sure he would appreciate it.
He had 1 rebound. It was offensive. 2 fouls, no assists, a turnover. Totaled 13 points. 13 points out of Ish. That's pretty good.
That's good. 2 double-digit scoring games in a row.
Yep, and then you have that group, that core group, the Marks, Nigel, and Ish. They, once again, are the 4 players in double figures for the Cats, and they account for most of the points on the floor. The only other scorer on the night was Selton Miguel. He had 4 points in 18 minutes, 1 of 2 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3. He had 3 rebounds, 4 fouls, an assist, and 2 turnovers, and played a lot of defense.
Yeah, and then Lucas Keith had his 1 3 attempt miss and then refused to elaborate and sat down.
Yep, and he had 3 rebounds. And that's basically it. And yeah, Carlton Lingard comes in for 2 minutes, has a foul, a turnover, and then he missed a shot. Although I will say he did look pretty smooth when taking that shot. Yeah, he showed a lot more grace than we've been used to this year.
I'm good. I'm good on it. That's fine.
Yep. But the Cats end up winning against West Virginia.
Yeah. And this firmly places back on the bubble, and I'm ready to get hurt again.
Yeah, it's coming. Oklahoma State's going to be a tough performance on the road, but this team, they've been road dogs recently.
Yeah. Speaking of, the next 2 games are against Oklahoma State in Stillwater on Saturday. That'll be on ESPNU, so go ahead and get your anti-ESPNU comments out now.
Yeah, buckle up for the worst presentation of all time, because ESPNU sucks as a network, and also Gallagher-Iba has the weirdest camera angles ever.
Oh, it's going to be awful.
It's going to be terrible. The color grading is going to be bad. And also there's going to be some random Missouri Valley game between Drake and Missouri State that goes to like triple overtime before this game. So it's going to be really tough. We're not going to watch any of this game until about mid-second half, probably. So
it's going to go to overtime. That's when we're going to get it.
Oh,
Then we play KU in Lawrence next Tuesday. That'll be on ESPN or ESPN2. No one seems to know yet. I will say I am not projecting a W in Lawrence.
I am not either. Regardless of how we've played against KU at home recently, in recent years, with a few exceptions, we have not performed well in Lawrence at all. The few minor exceptions were a couple of years with Deanberry Cam, their sophomore junior years. Like we went to overtime and there was the travel heard round the world by V. Mikhailuk in one of those games. But the Cats just generally, I mean, they aren't treated particularly well in Allen Fieldhouse. So I'm not projecting a dub there at all. Oklahoma State's going to be a tough matchup as well, honestly. I mean, they're a team, their record isn't great. They don't have a lot to play for, but they play pretty well at home. And they're a team that they're hitting their shots that could get out of hand pretty quickly. And they're also really athletic, one of the best shot blocking teams in all of college basketball. They average over 5 a game as a team, including Musa Cease, who I think he's averaging like 2 or 3 a game. Something
nutty like that.
Ludicrous, insane. It's like their front court is a team full of Jordan Henriquez's from K-State lore. But as a team full of Jason Bennett's for maybe some of the fans that came of age in the mid-2000s remember Jason Bennett. But yeah, it's definitely a tough 2 games for the Cats. If they can take one of them, I'll be happy. I don't really care which one, honestly. Okie State's way more likely.
Yeah.
But even then, like that's not a cakewalk.
That's not a gimme.
Mm-mm. It may seem like it on paper, but
it's not.
It is definitely not.
There's a reason why I think ESPN's projection gave them a 74% chance of winning.
Yeah, they play really well at home. Granted, I will say this K-State men's team has been oddly good on the road this year.
The anti-women's team.
Yeah, with the exception of the Baylor game, which it's Baylor. We just don't match up with them.
Yeah.
And we've been pretty good on the road. So, I mean, like we took down Iowa State on the road. We took down TCU on the road.
Texas on the road.
I mean, we nearly got OU, nearly got West Virginia. So maybe we can take down Oklahoma State. Why not?
Why not? Yeah, that wraps up men's Casketball. Now we can get into women's Casketball and go into the lone game that has occurred since our last episode. And this one hurts. This one legitimately hurts.
Yeah.
It is the second part of the Sunflower Showdown for the women's team in Allen Fieldhouse in Lawrence. They ended up, your women's Casketball team ended up walking away, the losers, 63-51 in favor of the Kansas Jayhawks. And before we mention what our percentage from 3 was, I want to see if I can remember it from memory. Were we 1 for 22?
That sounds right.
Place your bets now.
I'm gonna roll with you. Like I could say something different, but I think you're right.
We were something absolutely stupid.
We were. It was 1 for 22.
1 for 22.
Jeez. That's horrid. Which, I mean, yeah, you take 1 for 22 away. That makes us, what, 24-42?
Yeah.
Which, that's not bad at all from 2. I mean, granted, you'd like to do better, but, I mean, gosh, 1 for 22 really stinks.
God, the 10 that we missed in the first half. It looked like...
that's the first quarter.
The first quarter, dude.
Which that only makes it worse.
You were both watching this game, and I've never been one to get overly angry at a basketball game that I'm not there to watch. Football, you can attest to, that definitely happens. I get very angry at football games.
Yeah.
But, dude,
this game hurt to watch.
This was painful.
Yeah, this was a horrible game to watch.
This team is the opposite of Road Dog. It is just, well, I guess we'll just go into the over-the-top things before we go into stats. This team is the opposite of road dogs. They're literally just like home cats.
Yeah.
House cats. I don't know.
They are a great team at home, a great offense. They must just be leaving the playbook at home.
They locked it up, forgot to put it on the plane.
Yeah, somehow every single road game this year they've forgotten to bring the offense with them, which I'm trying to figure out how to account for a team being so drastic in the differences in talent between their home and away performances.
Because you can't even chalk it up to, oh, they're young. There is a point where you can say, oh, they're young. This is bypassed.
This is way beyond what should be considered acceptable for a young team being unable to perform on the road. Because, I mean, this is just it's absolutely ludicrous how awful they are away from Bramlage. And, I mean, we haven't seen them play at a neutral site yet, but just
maybe it balances out and they're a regular team.
Maybe. I
guess we'll figure it out when they go to Municipal.
Yeah, I guess so. But, I mean, this is home. They've only lost one game at home this entire year, and that was a game that I would say they had no business losing. That was the Iowa State game. And that's, I mean, honestly, like you look back on that game, and I feel like statistically the chances of us losing that game were very, very, very slim. But then you go on the road, and anytime this team goes on the road, you just cannot count on them to do anything right. I mean, they only scored 7 points in the first quarter. They went 0 of 10 from 3. They basically forgot Ayoka Lee existed for a while. I get that not every possession she's going to be open because sometimes
you get triple teamed, and sometimes you get 3 people or 4 people all subbing in, just trading off fouls for Ayoka Lee.
And it's not as if this is like a bad shooting team because we watched them at home, and the Glenn twins are really good 3-point shooters at home. Sundell's a solid 3-point shooter at home. But for whatever reason, when they go on the road, they just cannot hit their outside shots. And when you can't hit your outside shots, you cannot keep the defense honest. And Ayoka Lee is just going to fall even further into the defense because they're just going to commit even harder when you go 0 for 10 from 3-point range in a quarter.
Which, lo and behold, we didn't make our first 3 until the third quarter, right?
Fourth. Yeah, there's a Laura Mackey 3 who, going into the game, was shooting, I think, 21% from 3. So, of all people to do it, why not, I guess.
This was just an ugly game. Let's go into stats so we can get over how ugly and disgusting and gross this game was.
The Cats dropped this game 63-51. They only win the second quarter, so it was close at half, and they briefly held a lead in the second half as well. Ayoka Lee finishes with 18 points on 7 of 16 from the field. She needs to be taking more shots than that to win a game. She had 39 minutes played, 4 or 5 from the free throw line, 13 rebounds, 2 fouls, 1 assist, 2 blocks, and 3 steals. So really, she played a really good game, but we just were not getting the ball to her enough. Serena Sundell finishes with 10 points, 3 of 10 shooting, 0 of 4 from 3, 4 of 4 at the free throw line, 1 rebound, 4 fouls, 4 assists, 2 turnovers, a block, and 3 steals. It's tough to say any of these guards had particularly good games when they all just could not hit anything.
No threes. Not allowed.
Briley Glenn was just with 8 points in 37 minutes, 4 of 11 from the field, 0 of 2 from 3. 3 rebounds, 4 fouls, 1 assist, 1 turnover, and 2 steals. Emily Ebert has 8 points in this game in 21 minutes, 4 of 11 from the field, 0 of 5 from 3. 2 rebounds, 1 foul, 1 assist, 3 turnovers. Then Jalen Glenn in 36 minutes registers just 2 points, 1 of 7 from the field, 0 of 5 from 3, 3 rebounds, 4 fouls, and that is it. Pretty rough game for Jalen. Laura Mackey finishes 5 points, 2 of 3 from the field, made the only 3-point basket of the day for K-State, 1 of 2 from 3, because she made one and got confident, took another, and
then
totally missed, like off the backboard. And had 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 turnovers, and a steal. Nobody else scored. Simone Goodrich had 6 minutes and had a rebound and a turnover. Rebecca Dollinger played 5 minutes, missed 3-point shots in those 5 minutes. Then had 2 rebounds or 3 3-point shots. And then Jada Moore had a rebound and a block in 4 minutes, as well as missing another 3. And then Taylor Lauterbach played 1 minute and didn't register any statistics.
And there were a couple of moments where you can kind of point at one player and go like, dude, why? Why are there? And every single person sans Iokali had their moments. However, Simone kind of had 4 in a row, and it was kind of rough. It was really rough, actually, to see. And I want to write this game off, but I can't, because this is pretty consistently what we're getting on the road.
Yeah, like a 1 for 22 3-point game. I mean, that's exceptionally bad even for their typical road performances, but even then, they've been so consistently bad on the road specifically that, yeah, you're right. You cannot write something like this off because, I mean, they only scored 51 points. I mean, this offense just does not work on the road, and there's not an explanation for it, I don't think.
No, other than they just can't play on the road. And maybe whenever we get Nathan on here, he'll call us both stupid, which, yeah,
I think he would agree with us, honestly.
Yeah,
I think so.
I don't think there's anything schematically we're doing differently. I just think that there's something about being on the road that it's just not clicking.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but this team has been horribly frustrating on the road because, I mean, we don't have any business losing a game like this. I mean, this is a game where you shoot 25% from 3, you probably win. And
if you get, what was the final score? 63
to 51. And
you hit 3. You hit 4 more threes, you tie the game.
Yeah, which that would put us at 5 for 22. That's
it'd be less than 20%.
It'd be about 20. It'd be in between 20 and 25, I think. 5 divided by 25 is 20, I think, according to my calculations in my head.
According to my calculations, yeah, you're right.
Regardless, we're not asking for a lot.
We're not asking for a lot, and yeah, you're right. It is.
We're asking for them to shoot slightly worse than they do at home, which I think is
that's reasonable.
That's a reasonable expectation for a basketball team, for them to be good but not quite as good as they would be at home, because home is a more comfortable environment. They're going to play a little bit better. That's reasonable, but I mean, this is just horrible. I mean, first quarter they take 10 3-point shots, miss all of them. They only take 8 other shots and they made 3 of them, and it's just horrid. And there's not a lot of justifying it. This is another one of those games that just like
it hurts. It sucks.
Yeah, it hurts because this is a team that should be past 20 wins right now if they were even marginally good on the road. This is a team that should absolutely be in the conversation for hosting an NCAA tournament game, even if they were mediocre on the road, like relative to like the strength of a road team.
Because this team at home is like a top 15 team.
Yeah.
On the road, we're awful.
Yeah, because we've seen them beat good teams at home and nearly beat good teams at home. I mean, we see them beat Oregon. Oregon's in the top 20 right now. We've seen them beat Baylor. We've seen them beat OU. And we see them...
They decimated OU.
Yeah, they destroyed OU. And they just about beat Iowa State, who's top 5 almost right now.
Bank 3.
Yeah, the Bank 3. I mean, like, that's what... You know what? That's just how you're going to have to lose.
That just happens.
It just happens. And you know what? When it's like a center coming in that had 1 career made 3 and made 2 in the fourth quarter... What are you going to do?
Unlucky. Honestly, could have happened to anybody.
Really could have. But, I mean, this is just a painful game for the Cats. I mean, we can lament over and over, but the only thing that can be said is that they have no business losing a game like this, and they've lost many games like this. Just playing awful against Tech on the road. I get that Tech is a good offensive team, but we have no business scoring 44 against that defense. I mean, we should be dropping at least 65 on a team like that on the road, and we missed that by 20. And this is going to be a big what if team because they just
cannot play on the road.
Inexplicably awful on the road, and it's really dampened what was a special season for a while. And I don't know. I don't know what to do about it. I mean, like, this is a team that goes from beating Baylor at home to losing by 45 to them on the road. Granted, Baylor was like missing personnel at home, and we lost Serena Sundell early in that game. But regardless, 45 points. I mean, that's
ridiculous.
That's horrible. So yeah, I don't know. I'm sure the coaching staff is wondering as well. But I mean, it is a legitimate question to ask. Like, how do they improve on the road? Because I'm not asking you to. I'm not asking you to have the answer, because that'd be unfair of me, because I don't know.
I feel like they're philosophers, scientists, physicists, people who actually know a lot about basketball that don't know.
Yeah. I would love to have a different perspective on this as to why they might be struggling so much on the road. Is it really just youth? Which, if that's the case, at this point you would hope that the youth have been through enough road experience that they're getting a bit more comfortable. Maybe that's something we'll see next year. Because I still am excited for next year's team, because it's going to be all the main players back with additional high level talent coming in.
Taryn Sides.
Yeah, Eliza Maupin. Yeah, Sides I think is 2023.
Oh, Sides is 23?
Yeah.
Okay.
But really excited for Maupin. And I'm really excited for Heavenly Greer to finally get to play. Malene Lynn Peterson, Ranky to come back, hopefully. And then the other freshmen that are coming in. But, I mean, yeah, this is just going to be very much a what-if squad unless they make a run in the tournament, or they finally figure out how to get comfortable on the road in these last couple of games.
Which, like, I'd do it. I'd accept it.
I'd allow it.
I would allow it.
Totally would. But, yeah, what are you going to do?
Yeah. The next games for the women's Casketball team are Okie State in Bramlage this Sunday, again on ESPNU. And because it's a women's game, you know it's going to get pushed even further down. So, meh. The first 1,500 do get a free pink t-shirt, though. So, we'll be in attendance just for the t-shirt. We'll obviously won't be there to watch the game.
No, definitely not.
No
chance.
No, not one. And the next game after that is again also in Bramlage against Texas, and that is the first themed game that I've ever experienced at K-State, and that is a whiteout.
Yeah.
It's a whiteout game. You get free t-shirts for the first, I think, 1,000 people in the doors, then free burgers for the first 500 through the doors. So absolutely come in and just cram the Bram, show up in your white, and make Texas uncomfortable.
Yes, because that would be an absolutely massive game, and because it's at home, we have a chance. And,
yeah.
I mean, this is...
We're not away, boys! Woo!
Yeah, I mean, this is a stretch with 2 straight home games. Oklahoma State is not a particularly great squad in women's basketball, and there's no reason on the face of the earth that they should lose this game. Granted, I'm saying that, of course, this will probably jinx them, and they'll lose by 20.
Like we did with Ole Miss?
Yeah. Or the Texas game in football. But, I mean,
oh, God.
Yeah, Oklahoma State is 8-14. They're 3-10 in the conference this year. Granted, they did just get a win over Texas Tech, and they just beat TCU by 30. But granted, TCU is even worse. They're 6-16 and 2-11.
Oh my God.
But I mean, this is not a particularly great Oklahoma State team. I mean, before this 2-game win streak, they were on an 8-game losing streak, and I don't know, just not a good team. So this should hopefully be a get right game for these players, especially for the outside shooters. I'm imagining we're going to come out and not shoot the ball from deep as much. I'd imagine Jeff Minnie has probably done some yelling at practice this week.
Either that or you have to make 10. Every single player, excluding Ioka Lee, has to make 10 threes in a row before they're allowed to go home.
You know?
How many hours would some people be there?
I mean, probably some would probably be there a little. I would hope in practice that they can make them unguarded. Because, I mean, they're D1. Like, I couldn't do it, but I'm also not a Division I athlete. So.
Why not?
Because I suck. But I don't know. I'm looking forward to these upcoming games.
I am as well. For both squads.
Yeah.
But that being said, that pretty much concludes this episode of the Aggieville Alleycats. Thank you all so much for listening. If you want to contact the show, you can go ahead and follow us on Twitter. That's Aggieville Alleycats. That's capital A, and capital C in cats. If you want to follow us on a more personal note, I am at AceEdward00.
I am at Connor Baltazar, capital C, capital B.
And if you want to support the show financially, we are looking. You can always go to our merch store and buy such designs as Neon Alley Cats and play Sandstorm Cowards. But most importantly is, thank you all for listening to this episode of the Aggieville Alleycats podcast. Where come rain, shine, or anything in between, we're here to deliver to you the Kansas State sporting news that you so love. Stay safe, Alleycats.